Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Damn straight.
Stram date.
Never been a fan that dates some more of a grape guy.
Yeah. Well, to each their own.
Yeah.
Well, what do we have on the dock for today's episode?
Well, in recent events, we just finished Outlaw Star.
Yes, we did.
One of many shows I would consider to be classics.
Yes.
In the medium of animation. However, this was Ian's first foray into the series.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
Let's go back to the beginning for a moment of this. We finished Cowboy Bebop
right
a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking for the next show to watch. And I was talking about possibly watching The Big O.
Mm-hmm.
Again, kind of, ones that I have grown fond of.
Right.
Cowboy Bebop and The Big O for different reasons.
Cornerstones.
And I love them. And I wanted to rewatch both of them. So I was considering rewatching that. But I was going on a bit of a fast. And usually what we do, I'm not sure if this is what started it or not, or I just don't think we were ready to start the series or not. All I remember was you were like, I just want to show you the first episode of this series called Outlaw Star.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, I'm here for it. And I remember we watched, I want to say it was the first 2 episodes, because after we watched the first one, I definitely was like, well, come on.
We gotta.
Because for those of you who don't know, every episode ends with "to be continued," and it always ends on like a really good cliffhanger. Where you're like, "Oh, come on,
I get it.
Some of them have a little more conclusion than others, but specifically the first 2 or 3 are really good. Where you're like, "Oh, come on, I just gotta know what's happening next." Which is, great. It's a great show.
Right.
So, needless to say, we watched the first 2 or 3. I want to say. In that sitting, and I was like, man, this is such an interesting show. It's weird, it's quirky, it's funny, it's unique, it's its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then, needless to say, I fell in the rabbit hole.
It became pretty consistent from then on.
Yeah. At that point,
our usual schedule to it.
Because was there 20-something episodes?
Yes.
I don't think there was over 30.
No.
There's only that show. Mm-hmm. So there's no movies, no OVAs. Yep. It's all just that. And I was like, well, okay, I guess we can.
Right.
We could squeeze in Outlaw Star between our viewing of Big O.
Right. This definitely isn't a Pat Labor situation where it's
we're going to be here for 50 episodes.
Right.
Another Gundam Wing scenario. We're going to be here for 6 months.
Gundam Wing was so much fucking fun.
It was fun. It felt like it took us a whole year to get through it, though.
It definitely felt that way, yeah.
Because I think it almost did. But anyways, I fell in love with it. Partially because I love the characters. I love the concept. I love the story. I thought it was all interesting and kind of weird in its own way, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But I think more so than anything else, I'm not going to divulge any information about this said character. Mm-hmm. You know what character I'm talking about because we joked around about it. Ethan, myself, and you have talked about this character. It was a throwaway character. It was supposed to be just a joke. Mm-hmm. And then one night, as we're sitting there, I think I was watching you play something, or watching a playthrough of something. I forgot, I forgot what we were watching. I think you were playing something though, and I was watching you play through it. I jokingly brought the character up, and we had an impromptu brainstorming session, partially because I was giving you prompts and you were giving me some really funny feedback that I was in, and we were both yes-anding each other until we were coming up with this we flushed out this character, and what turned into a joke, what started as a joke turned into a character that I was like,
got invested.
I got invested in, and I'm kind of loving. And this is the first time for myself that I've done like a writing exercise. And I've never really been a good creative writer. I'm a musician. I'm a digital artist. So I mean, I do graphic design. I've done music. I've done all kinds of other mediums of art.
I can make things look nice and sound good.
Right, but I've never been a great creative writer.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because I'm just kind of weak at it, but it's never been like a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And I had little spouts of inspiration with like Dungeons and Dragons characters or other role playing games, kind of writing out a whole character background for them, and I've kind of fallen in love with that because it's also part of like another. It kind of parallels another passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But this make believe character we're conjuring up and having fun with, I have over the past few months just been kind of whittling away at like creating other stories for this character and adventures and a potential for what could be like a movie series or a series of movies, a TV show or an anime. Like it just kind of fits in a certain vibe.
Right.
So,
and you said we're not naming him?
Not in this. No.
Okay.
Partially because I don't want to say anything about it because I don't want to get people's hopes up because I'm not done.
Think we might have. I mean, I'm sure we've mentioned it on the podcast before.
Maybe we have, but I want it to be a surprise because he's not done yet. Okay. I've been doing a lot of work on this character, and I want it to. I don't.
It's got to be perfect.
Not even perfect. I just don't want to get people's hopes up and then get people starting to ask about it or to take my idea. If I start divulging too much information, I feel like all of a sudden a TV show or anime is going to pop up out of nowhere. I'm like, you son of a bitch, you stole my idea.
Maybe
that's what I'm worried about. But anyways, so I'm rambling on.
Mm-hmm.
Watching this show, watching Outlaw Star, helped flush out the conceptual ideas that I had for this character, because I saw certain story beat moments and certain character traits and flaws that some of the characters of Outlaw Star had that I think could really work well in the context of this character and this world that I've been building recently. And I've been getting really hooked. I've been getting hooked and I've been having fun with it, and it's the first time I've been able to really stretch that creative writing muscle of mine in a new way. And it's probably, to be honest, I'm not a great writer, so it's probably all shit, to be honest. But for me, I feel good, and I'm laughing, and I'm having a fun time, which, as an artist, that's all I really plan to do.
Yeah.
If I can create something or make something, and I'm like, that made me happy, and I like it.
Right.
If everyone else hates it, that's fine. I had a fun time doing it.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
It's the same reason I record this with you.
Right. And so that's kind of what's been going on with that. Is this? I'm creating this character, and I'm putting a lot of myself into this character. I'm creating him like I would any other like role playing game character, where he's got flaws, he's got his struggles, he has a story and a history and all that. He's got some plot twists, but I'm also writing him from the perspective of like there's a lot of myself in this character.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's also coming from the fact that we watched Evangelion, or at least did Evangelion, where there's a lot of this like personification of himself in that. Anyways, it's just fun, and I've been having fun with it. And so this show is, I think, pretty good in its own regard, but it's also inspiring me in this other avenue in a different way. And it's been a lot of fun to kind of see how this show spans out, and it's unique, and it's interesting, and it's wacky, and to really take some inspiration from it.
Yeah.
When was the first time you actually had, or how did you?
I had seen this way back when.
Was this another Adult Swim scenario?
Yes, Toonami Midnight Run special. But yeah, I mean, it was just among the other, the repertoire of shows that they were running back then. Others that my sisters had seen and stuff like that. Everything I had been exposed to like early on.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this came out in the 90s, I believe.
Yes.
I have it pulled up, but I can't remember where. 98. Oh yeah, I remember it was 98. Yeah.
My birth year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I considered it a classic for the longest time.
Yeah.
Then I was finally able to get my hands on the Blu-ray collection for it, which I then later swapped out for the collector's box.
Yes.
Which I will never regret as far as purchases go.
He got a nice, really cool collector's box set for this. And he gave his other collector's edition to Myron, friend of the show.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I always considered it Cowboy Bebop adjacent.
Yes,
as
it
far
does.
As
Which I think is another reason why I like it as much as I do.
Yeah, like sci-fi space romping
Gunslinging,
adventure.
has that kind of vibe.
Gives the Wild West feel to the outer reaches of the void.
Mm-hmm. It also has its own unique take on a few things because there is like a pseudo magic quality to it, where there is some kind of fantastical elements
Tau
of it.
magic.
Yeah, so there is like it doesn't feel. It is sci-fi, but there are projectile guns, and also magic
that use magic bullets.
Right. But also just regular gun. You can still just get shot by like a bullet.
Oh yeah,
but you're in space though, so it's like, oh, okay,
it's like a nice mixture between sci-fi and fantasy.
Right. And I think it's fun. It's a really interesting show, and it's it actually is probably if I'm being honest, I think it's like the perfect length. But because I enjoyed it as much as I did, I wanted more.
Yeah.
But when I really think about it, the progression of the story arc and the fact that there was probably like one or two, I wouldn't say filler episodes because I think they really did progress the story, but it felt like a filler episode.
Right.
There was only a couple of them, I really think.
Yeah.
But all the other ones,
just little adjacent adventures.
Exactly. That's what I liked. I'm saying all this in a positive. If it's not coming across the way, I'm saying it like in a positive tone of like the show flowed really well, and what filler they did have was still progressing the plot, or if nothing else, developing characters in a really unique and interesting way. And so by the time the show comes to a conclusion, I wanted more because I loved the characters, and it may not have been a 100% happy ending, but it was still like a relatively happy ending. And I like the fact that at the end, spoilers if you haven't seen the show, by the way, I think you can.
It's only been out for a few decades.
Exactly. I think you can actually stream it on Hulu if you have it. But at the very end, they have like what most either movies or TV shows do for a cast of protagonists. You kind of get to see like where they are now, sort of thing. And I think that's why I wanted more, was because the show wrapped up succinctly enough, and I liked it, and I liked what they were going. But they did a great job of. It was a very brief, like where they are now segment.
By the end of it, you get so attached to the characters that you just want to see how their lives progress.
Right, and that's what. And so by the time the outro sequence happens, where you get to see where they are now and kind of what's progressing, and the fact that they're kind of still a team, and some relationships have now blossomed into something more than that, and responsibilities are shifting and things like that. It really makes me think like, oh, okay, so what's the next adventure? Is what it sets it up for.
What are they going to do now?
It really sets it up for like, it's a good conclusion, and it's a happy ending, and things all tie up really nicely, and they just tease you just the right amount where you're like, okay, so what's that next adventure going on? But there is none. That's just the way it is, and it's like,
instead of to be continued, it's see you later.
I know, and it's like, man, that's just it's fun, and I liked that.
It stings just a bit.
Right, in a good way. That's what I'm saying. It's because, like, again, the show didn't feel like it ran on super long. It felt like it progressed pretty quickly, but not so fast where I didn't have time to connect with the characters, or I was confused as to what's happening next. And even though it may have got a little wacky at the ending, it wasn't so hard to comprehend what's going around that I wasn't like, where am I? Which a lot of times, and I feel like I'm a broken record when it comes to that. There's a couple of these animes where the ending comes about, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm shaken up by what's happening right now because it's so out of the left field, or it just is some deep existential, what do they call it? Cthulhu, like ethereal, some sort of out of this world, incomprehensible thing where I'm like,
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian. I thought we were just space pirates, but now we're like, oh, I can transcend space and time. I'm like, oh. But no, anyway, but none of that really happened on this show. And if it did, it was minor enough where, again, it felt like, because we're dealing with Tau magic and it's all kind of still part of the same universe, it didn't feel so disconnected that I was like, I feel like I got whiplash.
I tell you what I want more of.
What's that?
Ghost in the Shell.
Really?
Yes. I've all but
explain.
consumed just about everything the series has to offer.
Right.
And I just want more. I've read the manga, I've watched all the movies, watched all the shows.
Yeah.
And it's killing me that no one's made anything new. Well, actually, I can't say that because there was the new standalone complex series that came out a while back, and I finished that.
What was it called? I forgot the name.
I want to say it. I'm pretty sure it was standalone complex. It just had like a different year after it. But yeah, that was a nice change of pace. It's all CG, which was kind of weird, but I mean,
right,
it worked well enough. But yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't mind having some more of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find it. What was, let's see, it's on complex. Just do modern. See what it says. Nope. I don't think I'm finding it.
Find it. Damn.
Well, no, it's all the actual like show.
Oh, I see.
The actual standalone complex show.
Right.
So, but I think
the best one.
Right.
One of the best for sure. And if you ask me, it's solely carried by the Tachikoma for me.
Oh gosh, we don't need to get into all that, but because I'm gonna get sad.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I just love them so much.
Right.
But
they're great characters, and standalone complex does a great job of putting emotion to robots, making you care about a robot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. But yeah, as far as Outlaw Star goes, I want to say, like, what really drew me in were all the different, like, characters and species that they highlight. Even if for just, like, a few seconds, there's always got to be, like, as a prerequisite for me,
right,
in a sci-fi universe, there has to be a species that is the most stubborn, hard-headed, combat-focused in the entire galaxy.
Of course.
A la the Krogan from Mass Effect.
Of course.
The Cabal from Destiny.
Yep.
And the Ctarl from Outlaw Star.
Ctarl is so funny.
These are a race of shape-shifting animal people.
Yep.
Who are
almost indestructible.
Right. They're touted as one of the major powers in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And they show it.
Yep.
Because their ships are gigantic. They're super strong. Like, we're introduced to one, I Clanclan, which is my favorite character in the whole show.
Oh, of course.
And she's still strong and, like, dangerous, but she's also the goofiest motherfucker in the show.
If there was, it's hard because she is so much more than a comedic relief character, but if there was a comedic relief character, it's her. And she adds something to the story, you know, like pretty consistently throughout the thing.
She's the heavy.
But exactly. But at the same time, she has a way of adding a certain brevity to a situation, and also like a bit of ignorance about certain, because of how the Ctarl function. They are, they're brutish. So they kind of come across as a little dumb, a little naive in a way,
right?
Because they're just like, you know, they got this whole like clan mentality. They're all like kind of packed together, and they're a little more instinct driven and not
the hypest.
Yeah, they're very, you know, it comes across as like that a group of bro dudes,
right? Like a frat house.
Yeah, they all have the hive mind. You get all the guitar together, and one starts chanting. They all start chanting and screaming. Exactly, and then of course, before you know it, they're all ready to go to war. And it's like it's a Tuesday. We're not doing anything.
We're just trying to find a parking spot.
Exactly, and so she brings that energy in as this kind of like fun, bubbly kind of no nonsense character to some degree,
right?
But
slight nonsense,
right. but then
occasional shenanigans.
Exactly, it has a way of just, I think, not having full common sense, or just not being aware, not being very self-aware. Yeah. Like I love the fact, like towards the end, whenever, and I think it's so hilarious because it summarizes her character so well. Whenever they're at the ley line, which is like it's their finish line for the whole show.
Right, the galactic ley line is what's been touted through the series as being like this gigantic hoard of treasure. Could be anything from like a bunch of dragonite, which is the most valuable substance in the universe,
right?
Or somewhere where you could have any one desire granted,
right? So it is, and as in this universe, they have the government, they have the space pirates, and they have the outlaws. And we'll touch on that in a second. That's the point. So, and the reason why I'm saying all this is whenever we get to our finish line, one of our main antagonists is already there, and he's been chipping away at it, trying to open up this gate. Our protagonists get there. The Outlaw Star, which is the ship they fly, shows up there. And then as they do, the Ctarl show up out of nowhere in this massive ship.
One of
and
their,
of course,
Imperial cruisers.
And it's just this
tries
huge,
to stake its claim.
Right. I mean, as they do. And of course, they're all chanting and shouting and having their fun. And our main character asks, he's like,
how the hell did they find out?
Why, right. And then
then she's just like, every time we docked, I always send like news and updates and reports to the Empire.
Because my friends and family would be worried about where I was at. Or whatever. And it's like, that's just how she is. And it's like, you've been submitting our location to potentially our enemies.
You gave away
the
most important information about the galaxy's greatest treasure.
Yes. You've been trickling it out to them.
Your conquest-focused empire.
Yep. That also disowned you, by the way.
Right. Has practically abandoned you.
Yep. So anyways, but it's just that thing. But it's not, she didn't do it out of like spite or anger. She's just like, my family was going to be worried about me. And it's like,
I got folks at home.
You're not wrong, but like, damn, you could have just
kept
left
out that little detail.
Right. But that, like I said, that's her character. Is she's like, she is hard-headed, she's also strong and has a fighting spirit and is wild, but is also just like, I don't know. But it's not just her. It's her whole race. It's her whole race of people that are just like, we fight. But why?
Right. Because we fight.
Yeah. Right. Yes. And
we're the best.
Exactly. And it's fun. And I love that. It's a unique archetype.
So good.
Yeah.
I love a good like chest pounding like machismo species.
And that's the first thing I thought of whenever I was talking about, and I was trying to describe
it's like dwarves.
I was trying to put it into words. Like, how do you put it? I was like, it's just a bunch of frat guys. They just all come together and they're all just like, rock and stone. That's it, dude. Bruh, there is no I know that phrase I just said is coming across as if I'm blaming them. I'm blaming frat guys for all being like that.
Oh no, no, it's infectious.
But I say that because again, it's an archetype, and and I think it's funny. We all can laugh at it. But I think it's also just a guy thing.
Right. If a group of dudes walks up to me and asks like, "Hey, do you want to do this kegger with us? We're having at the fucking dorms tonight." It's like, sure,
whatever.
I'm down.
But dude, the point.
What's a kegger?
The point of why I'm saying this is because sometimes I don't feel like I fully am one of those guys. Because I'm not like a bro dude. I've never really been like that. I've been a very artistic person. So,
but
but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
There are few things that trigger my monkey brain, and one of them is whenever we find the big gold nugget in Deep Rock. There is
the law requires that I say we're rich.
Yeah, dude. And for those of you who don't know about Deep Rock Galactic, first of all, why?
You're not even human.
Yeah. Second of all, I mean, if you're anywhere near, I can't even think. I can't even fathom someone that doesn't understand that game. Go play it. It's great. It's fun. It's just it's a wacky game where you go shoot bugs, and it's just a chance for dudes to be guys.
Right. The inner bro to come out.
Even if you're a girl, you can do it.
It'll get it out of you one way or another.
You can start to. I think I've said this before on this podcast, and I'll say it again for those who don't know. You can, with your little indicator gun, you can like indicate things as like, hey, there's ore there. Hey, you should go kill that. Hey, there's a maggot.
It's a maggot.
There is a chance where you can find deep buried in the ground
an entire chunk
a big gold
of gold
ore.
Gold.
in gold. And the thing is, you can just say, whenever you see regular gold, it's just, oh, it's gold. It's whatever.
Right. There's a gold vein here.
Whenever you start to mark, whenever you actually have the gold nugget in your hand and it's as big as your body,
oh yeah,
and you hold it there and you put it on the ground, you can mark it. And of course, your guy says, "We're rich.
We're rich.
We're rich." And I don't know why. I feel like if ever.
Like, I would down myself in order to get to this gold brick to say we're rich,
dude. There has been so many times where we've been fighting, we've been digging, and all of a sudden out of nowhere I'll go, and Dylan's like, "What?" And I go,
I'll be like, "What is it?"
And he's like, and then I've never
"Where is
seen Dylan scurry over so fast, or vice versa.
I will jump from a zip line that I am going down, and you will hear "we're rich" before I promptly splatter onto the ground.
I've come full stop to doing whatever I was doing to go run over somewhere.
You drop
and go,
everything. If I'm holding in a cork, I will toss that shit aside.
Get that shit out of here.
Exactly.
I love it. Anyways, and that's what I mean. Is like there's stuff like that where I feel like there are a few things that can make my monkey brain kick in.
Right,
But
neuron activation.
Yeah. I just sit there, I'm like, yeah. Big shiny rock.
Pathways
Big
start
shiny
firing.
Yeah. I go full primal.
If
like,
you don't rock and stone, you ain't going home.
No, you ain't going home. Not to my home.
Nah.
Yeah.
You're not welcome.
Dude, I just feel like I feel like whenever that happens, I connect with my primal caveman roots.
Unga bunga.
I mean, I see this big shiny rock and I'm like, I must scream. I must shout. I must hold it up for everyone to see this.
Look! Yes! Look at it! We're rich!
I love it.
Oh,
anyways, so, and then it's been a while.
Ctarl.
It has the same vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They have
them.
Yeah. And that's simple enough and it's fun.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. But uh-oh.
How did you feel about the full-on like samurai woman that just shows up as an assassin?
I mean, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel
not out of place at all after what we've witnessed so far.
Right. The only thing I thought was interesting and kind of strange, but I think is a cool part of her character is she doesn't. I thought that she just had her sword in a sheath.
Oh yeah.
And then she was hitting. She was hitting with hitting with the sheath to like kind of debilitate her enemies, but not kill them. But like her strikes were so powerful that it would actually kind of like it would really wound them and hurt them.
Oh yeah.
Which I was like, I mean, that's like, you want to talk about?
That's impressive.
It feels like the Rock Lee. Holding back kind of thing, or like the weighted clothing sort of thing of like you hold yourself back. So for a while there, I thought that she was like just not actually
didn't even need to unsheath the blade.
She would not deign to unsheath the blade because she doesn't need to. She can whoop your ass with it still in the sheath.
Yeah,
and then
but lo and behold,
no, it's just a wooden
just
stick.
To go a step further, it is a wooden sword.
Right. And at that point, I was like,
shit.
Kind of. At first, I didn't understand it until I was like, I mean, first of all, cool, it's a cool stick.
Oh yeah,
very cool stick. But then second of all,
stick
look at this cool
like
stick.
A gun and or sword. Those were the best, man. I miss those sticks.
Yes. Anyways, so whenever I was thinking of big sticks. So
get your mind out of the branches.
I'm sorry. We've already kickstarted my monkey brain, right. So now I'm stuck on big rocks and big sticks. But whenever I noticed it was actually just a wooden weapon, and she's like, that's like her whole fighting style is taking people out with actually like
she fires off like projectile attacks.
Yeah,
just by swinging hard enough that the air itself becomes a weapon.
It's badass.
It's insane,
and it feels like part of the universe. Like I said, because there's also we established pretty early on there's like kind of magic,
right?
We have like an android girl.
Sanfa.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. As far as like other weaponry goes, people either straight up just use magic attacks by chanting, or they've got like, I don't know, like 50 weapons tucked under a cowl or a cape.
Yeah. Like I said, it's wild, it's unique, but I don't feel like it breaks the laws of its own universe, which I think is cool. Right. I think it's fun.
Boundaries are established as far as what's possible early on.
Right. So the fact that she can wield this cool stick and kill people with air pressure waves, I'm like, hell yeah.
Comes as some surprise, but
You're right.
I'm willing to overlook it.
The part that tripped me up, that I was having a hard time comprehending, because I was like, bruh, I don't even understand the psychological implications of this. But like whenever we find out that she's like, the whole reason why she's been traveling with the group is to find the assassin that killed her parents.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know that.
Right.
And this guy's got like this guy looks like freaking like budget Scarecrow from freaking Batman.
Yeah.
And then he takes his or he gets it knocked off, his bag hit, his sack head. And
he looks just like Suzuka.
Right. And I was like, yo, what? And then at that, I thought this was going to be one of those like, I am you, like I am the worst version of you. I'm a clone of you or something. Or even better yet, I'm your evil twin. That's what I thought it was going to be. Where I was like, holy shit, we're dealing like, obviously we're at the end of an anime. So like the fact that something like that was happening, I was like, I'm not surprised. At the same time, like, holy shit, what is this going to mean? Because I think she
had some sort of warped infatuation with her.
Yeah.
And got to the creepy point. It's like that one fucker from the second gig of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Who just straight up stole Pazu's look and tried to kill him.
Right.
Become him. I want to say it's more along the lines of like, I love you so much, I want to be you.
Yeah.
Which, not okay.
No.
That ain't going to fly with me.
Nah.
So she promptly destroys him using a secret technique.
But the thing is, I think what I love about it is that they start to fight, and I don't think that she's gonna lose, but she definitely doesn't immediately wipe the floor with them.
Right.
Like they do kind of like duke it out or whatever, and like it comes across that like he is a formidable foe.
Right.
And I like that because
she knows all his moves,
right?
All that jazz.
And it makes sense for her character as well. I'm like, oh shit, dude! Like, I mean, this is one of those moments where like, here's your antagonist, here's your nemesis is what I should say. Here's your nemesis, and you're like, I mean, and they're kind of putting up a fight until like that last straw.
Oh yeah,
and she just like rips into him.
I got a little something you never seen before.
You ain't never seen before.
Right.
And then I loved, and of course, it doesn't get much more anime than this. Whenever she like does her final move and it's like on the other side of him, and he's like, I don't recognize that, and she was like, I made it just for you.
Right. Been saving it special.
I perfected this technique just to kill you, and I was like, oh damn. Even though like whenever you think about it, it kind of comes across as a little corny, but in the context of it, I was like, not only have I been hunting after you and searching for you, but I've been perfecting this
own killer move,
one secret technique
that I know for a fact will work and will kill you.
Yeah,
it goes hard, dude.
So metal,
insurmountably hard.
Yeah, love it. Made that just for you.
I can't imagine. Like, you have to be dedicated in order to put that much time and effort into killing someone.
But it doesn't surprise me when we find out in that moment as well. Like, you know, that person killed her parents, and it's like, okay. I mean, of all the things, like if you were young and
that's a hell of a thing to commit to.
Yeah, especially
revenge is always a good motivator.
Ooh, yeah. So, anyways, it
reminds me of. Now you haven't seen much from this series, but there's a show called Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
There's a blonde dude with red eyes in that show called Kurapika.
Okay.
His whole story is that a group of thieves and like criminals, the Phantom Troop, came and destroyed his entire clan. Like murdered all of his people. And so he's dead set on finding them and killing them. Now, there's this whole magic system in the show called Nen.
Okay.
It's divvied up into like different subsets and types. And it just so happens that the type that he factors into, you can basically just make up whatever kind of ability you want.
Hell yeah.
And out of all the things he chooses to make, it's an ability that can only be used on members of the Phantom Troop.
Oh, no way.
So he's like committed, like full sending everything.
Right. He's putting all his perks into one thing.
Exactly. He puts all these restrictions, all these rules that he's got to follow. It's insane.
Wow.
It's so cool.
That's awesome.
But that's about like one of the many, I'm sure, analogs I could point to that are similar to this situation.
I know that I've talked about this on this podcast, and I'm not ashamed by it at all. In fact, you got to start somewhere. But the first probably anime I ever really watched was Naruto.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though there's a lot of angst around it and there's a lot of other things at play, the same thing can be said about Sasuke and his brother Itachi.
Oh, of course.
Because I loved that. I loved Itachi's character, and I loved like the idea of Sasuke and the whole like really wanting to be really good at trying to kill your brother, because I mean for murdering your entire family.
Right.
It's wild. The most wild thing, the most edgelord thing I ever heard. But at the same time, it's also like, I mean, damn, like
go off.
I mean, you really gotta commit.
Right.
Or I haven't watched all of it, but I think I've watched the first 2 episodes because you showed them to me. Well, One Punch Man.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna keep training on one thing.
I'm gonna do 100 push-ups, sit-ups.
Yeah.
This almost ridiculous like training routine that somehow is able to grant this man immeasurable power.
Right. The One Punch Man.
Right. Enough to be the strongest human on earth.
Yeah.
It's insane. Crazy shit like that is part of why I like this medium as a whole.
Of course.
Because I can't think of anything else that even compares or is similar to that.
It's fun. It's a little, again, I like it because I think here in Western culture, a lot of times cartoons are more comedic and more lighthearted, more childish. And yes, there are anime that kind of, I think, that fulfills that purpose as well, or that can be tropey and, again, lighthearted. But for the most part, like, it's interesting how you can have something that has like the realism, the grittiness of like some like real life issues, but then can also kind of be cartoony, and kind of outlandish and fantastical,
all sorts of crazy stuff,
right? But at the same time, dealing with like some pretty real issues, and you're like, but we can also, I can also punch you to the moon,
right? I can blow you up just by looking at you.
I can sit here and devote my entire life to getting one martial skill down, so that whenever I see you in person, in my final climax, I can actually just rip you in half.
Oh yeah, you're done.
And that's my whole purpose. Like, that's wild. And I think that I'm not saying that all animation here in the West is like that, because I mean, like there are some great examples of like Teen Titans and stuff, and also like
all
the Justice League and
dude,
some of the Batman stuff,
the early Warner Brothers animated DC stuff. I loved that shit.
Right. I think it's just fewer than, or at least what it seems like.
Right. You don't see it often.
Right. Whereas that feels like a medium where it's very acceptable to like kind of branch out into that more serious territory. And I love that. It's fun.
Yeah. Always a good time.
I know you were talking about other things we were going to talk about.
Dude, other things we need to watch.
Okay, when we watch. Like what?
Gao Gaigar.
Oh my God.
The King of Braves.
Bruh. Dude, wait a minute. Speaking of Brave.
Yes,
we won.
Dude. Bang Bravern.
Wow.
Yeah. We watched the first episode just to see what all the hubbub was about.
Yes.
Shit was fucking hilarious.
I cried.
It was the best.
I cried laughing so hard.
Oh, man.
Dude, is it okay if I talk about it a little bit?
No. We'll save that. We have to save it.
Damn it.
We highlighted all like the draws of it.
You're right.
Initially, whenever we were going through that list.
Yes.
We gotta watch the whole thing through, and then we gotta talk about it.
The only thing I'll say is, for a pilot episode, 9 out of 10.
Right. Good stuff.
Bruh, I mean, you want to talk about setup and delivery. You want to talk about lows that then turn into like, oh, maybe
astronomical highs.
We may make it.
Yeah. We are so back.
We're so back. Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Oh my God. Dude, so good.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm the funny, and I wouldn't even consider myself like a connoisseur of like mech anime, but at this point, to be honest, you've shown me enough. I mean, maybe I have a more repertoire underneath my belt than I think I do.
After all I've shown you, you gotta start having the eye for it by now.
Well, I'm telling you what, man. After what I've seen for that,
oh yeah, I'm sold.
I was having a fun time. I was like, I want to see more of this.
Oh yeah,
and I didn't know. We heard about it because I read an article that went through like top 10 like mech anime that like was kind of like that's like pivotal or
unique
in some way.
Right.
And it went through, of course, a lot of the high points we've either watched or have seen numerous times at this point. And but it got down to, I want to say, like the last 4 or last 3, and this was called Bang Bravern. Came up there, and it was talking about how unique it was, and I was like, both of us were like, we ain't never heard of this at all.
Yeah.
So we were able to stream the first episode, and I didn't know that it's a modern show. They're still releasing it
this year,
right? And I was like, damn. So we're like on the for me, for the first time, I'm like, damn, I'm on the cutting edge of something. Right?
Oh yeah,
especially with mech
brand
anime,
spanking new.
And
because I mean, the genre as a whole, like nowadays, has been pretty barren.
Of course.
Like it's mainly just all the golden oldies.
Yeah.
That you see.
Supposedly there were some modern ones, but or in certain niches, but I think it's been reinstallments in long
like continuations or sequels.
Gundam, like it's been very well established things.
Yeah.
But this is the first, or I mean, now I could be speaking on a turn, and I could be very wrong. This is the first time like we're getting something new that is like uniquely its own and is like really good.
Yeah.
Or at least from what I've heard.
Right. All we've seen is the first episode so far.
Right. It could be bad.
We'll see how it progresses.
Could be real bad. But so far the animation was pretty, and I think, and I love the plot that they set up.
Yeah.
I think they could go far with this, and I love that, and I love that for mech anime. I love that for anime in general, and and I think that this has the real potential to do something fun.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. And wasn't not Psy Games? Was it?
Oh yeah, no. It was Psy Games.
Psy Games had a hand
in it,
and I'm like, wait, excuse me?
They got their own animation studio.
Bruh, I don't know. Is Psy Games, like, I know the animation studio, like, do they have also, they do work with Granblue, right?
I'm sure they have. I mean, that's like one of their babies. They gotta. But,
so does Psy Games have anything to do with, like, the original game, or is it all the more modern stuff? That's what I'm curious about.
What you mean original?
Like the gacha game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Bruh, Psy Games about to take over the world, dude.
They're definitely branching out.
I love
way
it.
More than I would have expected. But yeah. Add those fucking skins to Relink, for fuck's sake.
Bruh.
I'm going to keep whining about it until it happens.
One of these days.
One of these fucking days.
It'll be all right. So, yeah.
But
anyway,
yeah.
Sorry. I had, we went off a tangent because I felt like I had to, but you were talking about Gao Gaigar.
Yes.
I haven't watched
Gao Gaigar. Yes.
I know that
the very same.
Least, you know.
Yusayo Tanjo is one of my favorite openings.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
Catchy as all hell.
It's fun.
But this dude is one of the like golden oldies. Mainly because he's like a combiner, a la like Voltron or
Yeah.
Right. It's like many other examples. But I feel like everyone has to have at least seen him somewhere. Because his chest, like his chassis, it's got the head of a lion.
Yes.
His trains are his shoulders. A stealth plane is his backpack. Some sort of like drill contraptions are his legs. It's just all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But man, this one threw me for a loop. Because initially I was like, oh, this is like one of those super robot ordeals.
Right.
Which I'm always open to. If I had to pick, I can't choose. No. Screw that. I can't choose. Yeah, so he's all about... See, he's another one that's similar to Gurren Lagann.
Right.
In the fact that the mechs work like in a tangible way.
Right.
It's not all willpower and, like...
Yeah, good spirits.
Yeah. It is still made up of, like, real vehicles that function as vehicles. And I love the way they treat, like, the combination sequence.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the most dangerous maneuvers it can pull off at first.
Right.
because they have to break like all these safeties. They need like security cards to access these functions. It's insane to me.
Don't they actually have isn't in the animation they have like all the stuff like clamping together?
Yes,
like,
they actually show the inner workings whenever he combines.
So
it's
fun.
so good. But man, heaven and hell is one of his like finishing moves that he uses to
That sounds wild.
to finish off like these invaders from space.
Some may say space invaders.
Right. Of the very same ilk.
Yes.
And he just traps them in this like green vortex.
Oh no.
Clasps both of his hands together and then charges forward, smashing both of them into whatever body this thing has taken shape with, and just pulls out their core.
Oh no.
Now, normally, before the main like kid character shows up, he just crushes that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're dead, I'm killing you. But that's before he realizes that there's a way to save the people that have been quote unquote zonderized.
Oh no, not zonderized.
Yeah. Because apparently they just had no alternative for that, and if you got zonderized, that's it, you're done. But this kid shows up and purifies them and like brings it back to normal. It's like, oh shit.
Maybe we can actually save them.
Dire straits be dire no more.
Yeah. Zonder ain't.
Right. Oh man.
I was waiting on that one.
Good. But yeah, there's a specific form of his that I will forever tout as one of my favorite designs, which is Genesic Gaugaigar.
Okay.
Which is where he fuses with these like nigh mythical animal type machines.
Damn.
And it is the most crystalline, perfect look for this thing.
Damn.
You know how we always tout the Kshatriya as like peak Zaku?
Yes.
The final Zaku?
The final Zaku.
This is the final Gaugaigar.
Really? Okay.
The dude is as powerful as a deity. Like a god.
Holy shit.
That's fucking
wild.
Cool. He's got the claws. He's got the mane made of wires.
Yeah, dude.
It's so cool. If a robot, a mech, has like some sort of hair, like long flowing locks that are actually wires, I'm fucking sold, dude.
Okay.
That is some of the coolest shit to me.
Yeah.
That actually came from War Greymon.
Really?
Yeah. Just that whole design.
Okay.
Is something I love. But yeah, we got Gaugaigar. We need to finish Giant Robo.
Oh yeah,
because we did start that a while back, but never.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's also a very strange and unique show.
Oh yeah,
from what I remember,
it's got great animation, but the designs for the mechs are like stuff you would see in
Egyptian,
I don't know,
stuff.
like a 50s, maybe 40s, like comic book.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, just real old timey stuff like that, which is another reason I love it so much.
Right.
But like God, man, just the design for Robo.
Yeah.
While
rotund, I love how
like bulky at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I want to say, some of the same animators who worked on the Big O.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
The mechs carry the same like intimidating like
stance,
right? Yeah. Like shadowy demeanor, and always feel like as weighty and as dangerous as they ought to be.
Yeah, as they ought.
Yeah, and
I love how, how do you even put it? I love how unique it is.
Yeah.
But I love how generic and straightforward it is.
Right.
Giant Robo. I mean, it is what it is. And it is a giant robot.
Oh, yeah.
and I love that.
And
it's the simplicity.
Shit up,
yeah. I love the Big O. And it's interesting in its own unique way. They're both, but like I can see a little bit of the inspiration between the two, though.
To be a Dominus with a Mega Deuce. Dude. Nothing will ever go harder than cast in the name of God, ye not guilty.
Dude, the second that at first I didn't fully comprehend that phrase, but the second that really clicks,
it's so cool, dude. It's the coolest.
There's nothing. It fits into that same mold of what we've been talking about before, of just like impossible odds kind of thing. or like pushing past the brink of something or whatever,
Right.
or
Piercing the heavens.
Yeah, dude. And the fact like you have God's permission to just
Right. Cast these fists.
Yeah, exactly. Wreck them. It's like, bruh,
Mhm.
ain't nothing better than that.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's see what else. I definitely need to show you that one Code Geass OVA.
I
Akito
forgot about
the
that.
Exiled.
Yeah.
That has some of the best CG animation
yeah.
for mecha that I have ever seen. Like the sound design's on point, the
Mhm.
action is great.
Right.
It's the complete package for me.
I still haven't
Which
seen
is surprising to me because I do enjoy Code Geass as a story.
Right.
I recognize the quality.
Right.
I cannot get past the animation, like the art
Yeah.
style.
It's definitely its own
Long
style.
ass noodle people just don't do it for me.
Yeah.
But,
I need to rewatch the first season, and I haven't watched any of the second season really. So
Mhm.
I need to watch some of that and figure out all that stuff.
There's also Erika 7, which is another good one. What else?
Shit.
Yeah.
I know.
Come on.
I know the look of it, but I don't remember the name.
The 5-star stories.
No.
With that big golden mech.
I mean,
that's on the list,
dude.
yeah.
He showed me this clip or whatever on YouTube of this giant golden robot.
Knight of Gold.
Bruh, how badass was that?
Mhm.
Escaflowne.
Yes.
That's the
the
one.
Vision of Escaflowne.
I haven't seen that.
That's another one. Razafon would be another
I don't know
good
what
one.
that is.
IGPX.
Okay,
The Immortal Grand Prix.
there you
go. Mecha Racing. That's what it is.
Oh
basically.
yeah, I think you showed me that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I'll tell you what, man.
Mm-hmm.
We finished up that. We finished up watching Outlaw Star.
Yep.
And I was trying to think, because of like the fact that I was going on a bit of a fast for a while.
Mhm. We abstained from the series for a bit.
Yeah. Well, at least at the very end, I was okay watching it mostly because we could still like have some snacks and stuff, and it was okay.
Yeah.
But then when I thought about it, I was like, we have like 2 or 3 episodes left. I need to go ahead and I want to have tea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have tea and I want to have Oreos, like our normal routine, like we always
Got to
do.
make it an occasion.
And I was like, and I couldn't have either one of those at that point. And I was like, damn,
Shid.
fug.
All right.
And so, but I ended up, it was over, and I went ahead and made us some tea for the first time in a while.
Had some
and
slacker
I
shakes.
had 2, bruh. Made some milkshakes, got some Oreos, freaking tea, dude. I mean, it was the
whole
best.
package.
And again, the whole show was over with, and I was like, man, this is so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But yeah, had the chance to sit down over this course of this past week and sit down with our friend of the show, Dominic. He and I were sitting down, and we started talking about movies and shows and stories and animes and all that kind of stuff. And we're just kind of like shooting the breeze. And he and I can talk about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've realized, and we can just kind of spiral and just go down a rabbit hole. And a lot like how you and I were joking around with that character I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of brainstormed and all that kind of stuff. The same thing happened with Dominic in a different way.
Yeah.
Where we were just like talking about our interests and things that we were doing. And books we were reading and all that kind of stuff. And we're just engaged in conversation, just talking about it, shooting the breeze, catching up. And we start talking about like writing good characters, what makes a good story for us, what do we enjoy, what do we connect with characters and all that stuff. And then we start talking about some of the things that we were not super happy with how it turned out.
Oh, yeah.
So we started talking about some of the things that may have ended weird, or we didn't like the outcome, or didn't think that some of the decisions felt like the character. And again, a lot of it's probably coming from personal experience or what we thought the character was. But then we started talking about the sequel trilogy of Star Wars.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
We started kind of opening up that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may have talked about this on the podcast probably like a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of jokingly like talked about rewriting that series. and I never really broke it down to like, I don't have a full script for each film, but I have a rough outline of how I wanted the events to kind of get like play out in a way. And I had the chance to kind of like talk with him about that. And he and I like spitball ideas back and forth. And I kind of gave him like my rundown of events. And as we were talking about it, he's like, man, that sounds really cool. Yeah. And we started talking about, he had some really great ideas that we were talking about. Like I said, we're going back and forth and stuff. And I kind of describe about like why I think that and I said to him what I always talk about on this podcast. And you guys, if at home, if you don't talk about it, you can say it along with me. Sometimes the second movie is the best one for a lot of reasons, because again, it can really establish like, it can really have fun with what you've already built up in that first movie. In that first movie, you can kind of like flush out a world, really focus on the inner workings and the beginnings of our protagonist or protagonists, and you kind of like can flush out this world and kind of get people involved. You can have some conflict and some resolution, and the movie can be over, or the book, or whatever you want to call it. And then sometimes that second movie, you can really just dive into like, okay, now everyone knows all that. We could spend the next 2 hours
let's just hammer it home.
Let's just have some fun. And if it's done well, you can have some real fun. And that's what I told him. I was like, I think that's why people really love Empire Strikes Back for that reason. I mean, it's also just a great film, but I was like, but you got to think about it. Really think about it. It's like you've already established all the main characters. So you're starting off this one. Everyone already knows what's happening. You already know the bad guys. The bad guys actually are able to kind of like recoup their losses a little bit. And they're going to try and hit harder.
Strike back, if you would.
Almost as if they're going to strike back. Thank you for pointing that out, Dylan. I didn't notice that. And then I was like, on top of all that, you want to talk about even again, we already know all the bad guys. We already know all the good guys. We already are like trying to figure out what's all going on. Yeah. And then to make matters worse, our antagonist cuts off our protagonist's hand and then reveals the fact that he's his father. Right. And I was like, and then you want to talk about the biggest reveal. Christ. Spoilers for those of you who don't know Star Wars, but you should really get up on one. Right. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, how fun would it have been if like you really could have established that first sequel movie, technically episode 7, you could have really established and done a really good job of flushing all these characters, having some fun. And then that second movie, you start off with all those same characters, same bad guys, in just in a different way. Not really mirroring what's happening in the actual the original trilogy, but doing something very similar to that, where you can have some kind of like crazy conflict by the time that second movie's over with, and just like have some fun with it. Right. But I was like, but obviously, no, and again, that's when we started talking about it. I was like, I'm not complaining about it because I thought that I'm not complaining about the actors. I'm not complaining about the people that made it. The thing I'm complaining about is the corporate people that were trying to like juggle around different directors and writers for a film and from a film franchise and kind of dissecting it. And then of course, like letting money take it over instead of actually like artistic and creative talent. Right. I feel like. So anyways, that was what I was talking about with him. Anyways, it was fun. We were having a fun conversation and it was interesting to just kind of talk about stories and opening up and how he may have write things differently. And then I kind of told him a little bit about my character I was talking about. I didn't tell him any details, but I told him generally what I've said on this podcast, where I was like, it's a fun character, it's cool, it's wild, but at the same time, like I feel a lot of myself in this character now because I'm writing him as if like I would make those decisions or things, and I'm incorporating some character flaws and some things that are weird and trying to come up with some companions of his, and it's fun. So, anyways, I'm just having some good times with that. But anyways, well. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
How you feel about grappler ships?
They're a little too handsy for my liking.
Oh, dude, what a fucking concept.
Well, it's a weird concept, but it's also kind of fun.
Right. Like, I can understand if a ship meant for space travel would have manipulators if it's meant for, like, maintenance work or, like, real nitty-gritty type stuff.
Right.
But they use these things for combat.
Weren't they initially meant to be I thought in the beginnings of the show they talked about the fact they were like, the grappler ships were meant to be.
I'm pretty sure that's
for construction.
Yeah, probably.
But then I think pirates were able to take the technology and use it for combat. but now it's like solely for, or mostly for combat. From
exactly.
we see
Ships are equipped with like hand-to-hand weapons.
Big
like,
arms.
Yeah, little handguns, an axe.
Yeah.
to quote
a whole
the Outlaw
gun.
Stars armament. And it...
I want you to imagine a Star Destroyer and then put little hands on it.
Right. And then have the fucking hands open up and be like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah, little grabby guys.
Jesus. It's
just imagine a Star Destroyer going, hey.
Right. Now that I think about it, it is definitely a threatening position to be in. It's like, this is just a regular ship. While it may have a sizable armament to defend itself with, I don't know how well it's going to do against a small, maybe larger ship that has big-ass manipulators that's just charging straight for you with an axe.
And I want you to know, for any of those at home that may have any doubts in your mind, there was a lot of "me when I get you" comments whenever fight sequence happens.
Almost exclusively.
Yeah, because he wears this earpiece that may I say is way too dangerous.
Yeah,
he wears this earpiece on his right ear that has this little flip out thing that it's almost like a screen, I think, that projects onto your eyeball.
Yeah, but
it's almost like a needle point. It's and it's really close to his eyeball. And every time that thing would whip out and he would have it on his face, to kind of, because it's how you
got the eye poker 9000.
Bro, I was like, one wrong bump and that thing is going into your eyeball.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he has this thing on his eye that he can kind of see all these cameras, which I think is a cool concept. Before combat, before space hand-to-hand combat with your grabby hands, you can spit out all these cameras. These orb cameras, these little GoPros you just throw out in space, and they all kind of
every viewpoint imaginable.
And it's such a cool idea.
Yeah,
it's a cool concept.
It's insanely cool,
especially from the idea of you're going to be doing handsy stuff and need to know your surroundings and stuff like that. But it's it's fun. And he has the different controls. He opens up it and stuff. And I love the cockpit. I love the different seats, the bridge. Yeah, dude, it's super cool. I love the whole thing.
The fact that Melfina is a bio-android that also functions as a main component of the ship.
Right.
Super cool.
Very cool. I love it. It was a great show. It was great. It was wacky. It's fun.
Worth a watch.
A little sad that it was over because I was like, man, I just want to watch a little bit more. But that's it. So, but anyways. All right. I think I said all I needed to say about all that stuff.
That'll about do it for me.
Had a whole bunch of fun with it. And on to the next one. We haven't done an episode on the Big O, have we?
No, we have.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
That was Podcast in the Name of God.
Holy shit. I got to re-listen to that because I don't remember talking about that.
It's been a while.
I mean, I can only imagine. I know the name of the podcast sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what we talked about, though. Or I guess I don't know what my opinions were.
Right.
But I really want to rewatch that show so bad.
Oh, definitely.
Damn.
We'll get around to it.
All right. Well, anyways, for any of those who are looking to find us, go onto YouTube and then in the search bar, type in @Hindsight Studios and you can find all of our podcast episodes there. And I would really appreciate it if you could, whenever you listen to one of those episodes, you can give us a comment, let us know what you think about it, any suggestions we should do, give us a like on the videos, let us know you actually care about it and stuff like that, or subscribe to the channel if you want to.
Right. It's
been a lot of fun doing all this, and now that I have it on YouTube officially now, and it's a lot easier to do that, I'm trying to push that a little bit more, because there's a lot of you guys listening on YouTube, apparently. I had no idea, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah. You know where else to find us. You can just type in the Aftermath anywhere else and find us.
The usual spots.
I'm just going to go ahead and interject right here and say I'm sorry that
I'm making
an addendum right now that we actually never even said the main character's name, which is Gene Starwind, which I, by the way, love. I think it's a great name, and I can't believe we didn't say it at all.
Right.
But to make matters even worse, I feel ashamed that
his rivals did not even get a name drop.
Some of the most iconic names in the series, I think, is so hilarious because of the way in which you can say it.
Yep.
But it's the MacDougall brothers. That MacDougall guy, I think,
owners of the fastest starship in the galaxy.
What was the name of it? I forgot.
The El Dorado.
The El Dorado. dude, there's been a handful of times in the show while we were watching it that I kept going, MacDougall.
Right.
Because it just feels good to say like that.
It's a Dinkelberg type.
Yes, it is. It's a Dinkelberg type.
Yep. It's perfect.
And I love it. And it also works the opposite, too, because I can imagine the antagonist going, Starwind.
Exactly.
And I think it's happened a handful of times in the show as well. Anyways, I just had to come on here and say that. I'm going to go ahead and find a place to put this in the show, probably somewhere towards the end. But anyways, so if you're hearing this, just know this was after we recorded the actual episode, and
this is the cover up for our fuck up.
Yeah, but anyways, just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, bye for real this time.
Yeah. But anyways, until next time, thank you so much for listening.
See ya.
Bye-bye.